Welcome to Guide 6. This is the graph tutorial guide, and I'm going to break this up into 4 movies, the first one being the practice graph. The one on my screen that you can see is the final practice graph with the upper practice graph as it appears when it comes out in the black and white form. I've shown it below in the color form that we're going to create 3 pieces of artwork for, and then the fancy graph as it appears in the finish. And you are welcome to do anything you want to do to alter the design, okay? But for me, I'll just go ahead and get this done right away. The beginning of the file wants you to create a new document in Illustrator with only four artboards. The spacing I have is 0.5 and the rows I have are 2. And I've also changed the units to inches. So let's get right into it and set up a brand new Illustrator file in that regard just to show you how to do that. I've already set this up as 4.5 on the spacing, 2 on the rows, portrait, and inches. So when you do that, you will have 4 pages on your screen. To edit those pages or to see their page numbers, you have the page tool over here which you can click. Once you're in the page tool mode, you can then see the page numbers, click on any certain page, hit the delete key if you so choose and delete out a page, pick up a page and move it and shift it away from another page, or do anything that you want to do to add pages or change your spacing. But to get out of the page tool, just click back to any other tool. But that's how I want it set up first. Now I'm going to click on page 1 and hit Command 0 to go to the full page, and I've kind of set up a series of files to get me into this one and get it done within a reasonable amount of time. So let's hit the graph tool. In the PDF file, it wants you to make sure that you set up each time you do a graph in step number 2 to set up all back to the defaults, and I want to do that for you right now. If I actually click the graph tool and double click it in the tool palette, you can see that I can change the graph options, the value axis, and the category axis back to their defaults, which appear as step number 2. And please do that for every time you start a new graph over. Don't start a graph or delete the graph if you've already started it and you didn't set the defaults back, okay? Now I'm gonna, since I've got them all set, I'll just go ahead and click OK, click on the screen. My first graph goes in as 4 and 4. Now I have set up, as you can see, a chart here for the way that you handle the graph data. And on the graph data, I kind of want to go through just the first couple of lines to show you how I have set it up. And how to work the cursor keys inside the graph data. So when you click on the graph data, in the very first box in the upper left hand corner, hit the delete key so you can delete out that first number that's up there, and then just use your cursor key to go over to the next box, and then you would type in Jason and then use the cursor key to go over, or you could tab yourself, or you could just physically click over there. There's a whole bunch of ways to always do this. Then it goes Sarah and Lisa. So I'll try to do this as I'm talking. And now I'm going to go down to this one and work my way backwards just because it's 170. You don't have to type in .00, 210. And I'm going to go over and type in 160. And then I'm going to move, whoops, I'm going the wrong way. That was funny. Okay, I never make a mistake. Let's go back. Let's go back. This one's good. I'll go back over Sarah. I just went the wrong way. 210. And let's go back to the left, Brian, and then 160. You were probably saying, Brian, no, no. And let's go September, so SEPT 10/2009. And when you're finished with that, you can go down to the next box and type in the next September. But to see the September that you want to see here, just simply click this over, and you can actually move one of the column guides to expand it out. Now what I've done is I've already have set up a graph with all of this typed in, so I don't have to do it for you, but the apply button is right over here, and when you're finished, just hit the apply button. Now I'll go ahead and do 1 so you can see that Sarah has her stuff all finished. Now if I wanted to add Lisa If I wanted to add, I'm sorry, September 19th and September 28th figures for Lisa, Sarah, and Jason, I would just simply add those in and then click the apply button and everything would be fine. But I'm going to delete out this graph and I'm going to go into my next document and show you what I've done. So I'm going to delete out that graph. Let's go back to the tutorial movie number 1. Let's click on the graph and you can see that I've already got it done just the way that it appeared on that first window that I showed you, actually the top of page 2. Remember, on your screens you can hold the Option key and you can magnify a screen back and forth with the middle mouse button, or you can go Command Spacebar and get the graph as large as possible. I'm going to hit the V key, click on the graph, and you can see how I can get back at the Type Data Design column or marker windows for any selected graph, and I can get back at the data window if I want to and re-input data. Now let's go on to the next step. The next step, if you see, so far I have done, if you click over here, Brian, you will see, Mr. Sorio, that I've already done this. I have already done this. I know the window's going to do that. Please disregard that. I've already input all the lettering. I've already done all this. There's your graph as it appears. Now let's go ahead and make these 3 bars of color. Now the 3 bars of color, I have broken them down into 3 variations of this, and I just want to make the red one and show you how to make it very quickly. It tells you on there, and let me go to my next page. Okay, it tells you that I want you to make approximately 1 by 1/4 inch rectangle. So let's go right to there and show you the top of that page. If you make a 1 by 1/4 inch rectangle, you fill it with a red gradient. I want you to see how, if you refer back to that one page, you can do all of your gradients on that page. And let me, like I said, quickly show you that. Let's go here and turn off the graph image, and I'm going to turn on the art image. I have made another sublayer called art, and inside the art I have set up, and I'll show you if I get close on this and turn off everything. I have already set up my file the way that it looks right here with an outer box. Okay, so all I have selected is the actual box. All right, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you in the swatches window that I have saved 3 colors. Now what I would like to do is to go back to the untitled one and create that for you again. Okay, so let's make a new layer, in the practice graph layer. Okay, there's my practice graph layer. Let's now make a sublayer inside called art. You would already have the graph layer created inside of here. That's okay, it doesn't matter. I already have it finished in another file. So let's go art, and inside the art window, let's hit the M key. Let's click and make a width of 0.5 and a height of 1. And now I have a nice box that's made 0.5, 1/4 inch. That doesn't look right. Let me do that one again. I said 0.25. I know you said that I probably did that wrong, and I know I did. Okay, let's get closer to that box now, and let's make our gradient. So the stroke goes to nothing. I want you to see how I'm going to throw the gradient and the color window right underneath this so we can play our game correctly. Inside of this, I'm just going to go ahead and click this and not take the G key and change it in any way. But if you see on the screen here how I want you to actually solve this, let me get down here right there. See how I've set this up so that you can just add 2 more swatches to the gradient slider bar here, and then everyone here pretty much is the same way. So what I'm saying is I'll leave this on screen exactly where it is, and I'll go ahead and I'll set up 1 more square here and 1 more square here. You don't have to touch anything. Just leave that alone perfectly. Now, I have my page open, so I won't have to refer to this, but let's start with this box, which is this swatch right there. This swatch right there is this box, then the final highlight swatch, or the third highlight swatch is the final box, and then the fourth one is just a copy of the first one. So that works the same way for green and blue. So follow me on this, how I kind of do this. So now let's click on this. Let's click on the first one. Let's take this and convert this to a CMYK color. Now read with me. If you click in the first one, you can simply go, the number is 10, 100, 156. So let's go 10, tab 100, tab 100, tab 56, and then tab out of it. Now, you have the first color which I want you to save. So drag it from the color window into the swatches window. Now click on the second one. The second one you have to convert to CMYK. Click in the first color window here, the first one on the top. It goes 11, 100, 111. If you see what I'm talking about. Look at how this says 11, 100, 111, and then the third one right there is 0, 58, 33, and 0. So let's go back to the window. Let's click on the second one. It goes 11, 100, 111. So let's make sure this is selected. And it goes 11, tab 100, tab 100, tab 11, and then one more tab, and then you have that one finished. Save that color. Now click on the highlight one. That one's 0, 58, 33, and 0. So change it to CMYK. Drag across the top one, make it say, it does say 0, so I'll tab over here to 58. Then I'll tab to the third box down, which is yellow, which is 33. I'll tab to the K value, which is 0. Then I'll tab out of it, and now I have my highlight color. Now, pick up, I missed that, it goes right there. Now, pick up the first one you made and drop it into the black one. Look at how you have this all perfect here. Now, let me double click this and make this into black because I have to show you something. I want to make this into a rounded rectangle shape. Now let me get close on the top of that rectangle. Hit the P key for pen. Click another pen point right there. Click another pen point right there. Click another one over here and another one over here. Now delete out this pen point just by holding the pen over there, and delete out that pen point. Now go to your convert tool. Now you know the option key is the convert tool when you're in the pen tool. If I hold the option key and then hold the shift key, I can drag this out and make this nice and clean like that. Whoops, I missed my box. Can't believe that. Just a minute, let me activate the box. Okay, grab this, now hold the shift key and work your way to making that a nice rounded shape there. Now grab this one with the convert tool, hold the shift key and round it off like this. Now do the same thing over here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to actually move this one over by going like this. There, I'm in the direct selection tool, which is the command key. Now let's hold the option key, click, hold the shift key, and now I can make this go out like that, and meaning I can constrain the handlebar vertically. And now let's grab the option key, convert tool, and let's move our way up. And now you see how I've made that. Whoops, that was backwards. I know it was. Let's click, and now let's go like this. Now I think I should move this one over with the shift key also held down and the command key held down. Now I've rounded off my little rectangle to make it a little bit more cute on the top, like a tube. Now what I want to do here is I want to go back to the PDF file to show you that the top of this is going to have a slender, very slim rectangle with a highlighted gradient on the one side, which is a gradient going from a light pink to an even lighter pink. When you do the green one, it would be light green to a lighter green, and then the blue one would be a light blue to an even lighter blue. But watch how easily this is going to be done. So here I tell you on number 7, an invisible, where do I tell you that? Okay. All right, I know I tell you. Let me go down a little bit. Okay, here I go. Here. Sorry, it's right there. On number 4, I say red vertical bar. Use gradient and color palettes to create your own vertical bar. Then add a thin additional gradient for the highlight on number 4. I'm going to do that for you right now. So let's take the M key. Let's take the M key. Let's drag a box right on this one side right here and drag it really thin on this side. You can put yours anywhere you want to. I want to make sure, I'm just going to color it any color for now. I want to just make sure that it's going to be right on the top. So I'm going to hit the E key for the transform tool, and I'm going to go right up and make sure that's flush on the top. Now I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to make sure it's flush on the bottom. So let's get close. And you can see if I go like this, I am now very perfectly flush on the bottom. Now, let's make this have a nice highlight to it, okay? Watch. If I take the black and white gradient, and I take the G key, and I work my way from here, from the top down to the bottom, I know that the white is supposed to be the lighter color. Okay, so if I pick up the light pink and drop it on both sides, watch this, meaning the white and the black are now the same color. Now, if I click on the first one, which is the top of the gradient, if I grab first the command key and hold it down, or the control key, and click the most right-hand marker and move, look at how they all move to the left and they lighten up. And now I have lightened up this side with this side maintaining a little bit more darkness. I'll pick that up and I'll save it as a gradient over here. And now there is your red one. Now what I want you to do before you actually duplicate this layer and make it, that's a little too wide. Before you duplicate this layer, let me hit the E key and thin this down just a tiny bit. I want you to define this, and let me get the PDF file. I want you to define this. Let me find out exactly where it is. Right there. Okay. I want you to define this, there we go, with a guide that goes across, which ends up being, look at the red design over here. It ends up being the highest layer. Then you have the red, which is actually a sublayer in itself, the red actual artwork. Then you have a you can't see it. It's what they refer to as a invisible boundary defining box, which aligns itself on the bottom perfectly, but gives a little bit of extra room to the left, top, and right-hand sides. That is so when you make it into a graph design, the graph design knows the parameters of what you're trying to define. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and make that, and then let's duplicate it, and I'll show you how to go on with the next few steps. All you have to do is go into your artwork. Look at how I have my artwork here, and I'm now going to make a red design sublayer. So I click on the artwork and I click on the sublayer. And let me call this red design. Now that I have this, I do not like this green. I double clicked it to change it. Now that I have this, I want to make a sublayer inside here just exactly like the PDF file says. Look at how this is the red design, and now I have a red sublayer with both items in the layer. So let's go back to here, click on the red design and make a sublayer. Let's call this red. Now let's grab both of these with the shift key and drag them into the red, so now you can see how I have them inside there. Now I'm going to click on the red design layer. I'm going to hit the M key and make my boundary defining box about that big, and I need the bottom to be perfectly on it. Now I want there to be no fill, and I'm going to remove the stroke in a few minutes. So let me just make an any color stroke. I don't care. I just want it to be gone. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it nothing right now for the time being. Hit the E key, and I'm going to go like this so that I can just make sure it's perfectly aligned to the bottom. Not here, not there, but exactly right there. Now, you have to make sure that that's going to be the way it is. Now, so I don't lose where the left and the right sides are, I'm going to put a stroke on it for now. I'm thinning it down just a little bit. It doesn't have to be so big, just a little bit bigger. But I'm going to put a very thin stroke on it just for now so we can see where that little guy is. Let me make it into any color. There's your favorite color. And now let's go just make it really thin. Now, what this cannot show up, so I have to remove the stroke in a minute. But if I click on the file here, you can see I'm now going to make a pen line to be bigger than the actual boundary defining box that I made. So I go in with my P key, I'm going to grab and just somewhere right in there I'm going to make a shift key click line. I'm going to leave it selected just like this, and I'm going to go to View, Guides, and Make Guides. And for the purpose of this, would you please make sure that Locking Guides does not have a check mark, and let me go Make Guides. Now that I've made that guide, look over here in the layer palette. It has to be the top item. It has to be. Now the boundary defining box has to be the bottom item. So now I have everything in the right order, except I want to take away this outer thing right here. Okay, so all we have to do now is take away the stroke. Now all I've done, I've got everything perfectly set to go. Now all I have to do is duplicate this a couple of times to make the blue one and the green one. Now follow me on this. All you have to do is take the red design and duplicate it. Lock up the red design, click on the circle for the red design copy, hit whatever key you want, the V key would be fine, and just shift click it so it moves over to this side. Now what I'm going to do is double click it and call it green design. Now all you have to do is click it, open up the green design, open up the copy, we'll name this one green. Now all you have to do is click on the circle for the outer thing, for the outer rectangle. Look at how if we make the fill come to the front, you can click on each one of these boxes right here, each one of these tabs in the gradient palette, and you can change these as per these numbers, as per those numbers right up here where we had them right here. So for the green one, you would now go ahead and add all of these numbers in there. So go ahead. The first one would get 92, 28, 139. Then you would click on this one, look where I'm circling, and make these numbers appear. Then you would click on this one right here and make these numbers appear that I'm circling right here. And then you would drag from the swatches palette to make this final one. Then you would redefine the highlight with the lighter green, making an even lighter green on the top. Now, let me minimize this. Let me minimize this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Let me click on this tab. And here is the finished artwork that you can see here that I have made into the 3 items that you're going to need. Let me move this out of the way and slide it back right over here. Now these items have been named blue design with a lighter blue to a darker blue here, a green design, and of course my initial red design. Make sure nothing is locked inside of them, and make sure that View Guides and Unlock Guides is the right thing, meaning no checkmark by Lock Guides. Now, where are we in the file? We are actually past page 3. We are all the way to number 9. So let's go into the file right here. Let's hit Command 0, Mr. Sorial, and go right to number 9, and now get close to number 9. Now it's time to define them as a new design. So we're going to go red design, we're going to go green design, and we're going to go blue design. Now, oh, you know what? I did it this way. I said red, well, that's going to be for Lisa. So that's fine. Then let me make sure I'm doing this the right way. Oh, I had it right there. Red is for Lisa. I know I showed it one time here. Oh, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Repeat for green. Green is for Sarah and blue is for Jason. Okay, so I'll probably forget that. The first one is Lisa. Sarah is green and Jason is blue like a boy. So let's start with, I swear I just said it. Lisa is red. Okay. I see I'm being stupid. Now let's click this. Let's click the circle for the red design. Let's go to right-hand click. Actually, it's not going to tell me a design. Let's go to Object, Graph, and let's go to Design. Now with the box selected, click New Design. Let's rename it, and let's go Lisa. Now that Lisa is selected, leave it all alone and click OK. Now let's go over here to the green design and click the green design for Sarah. So go to Object, Graph, Design, and let's go into New Design and rename and Sarah. Okay, now let's go OK, and let's click the blue design. Let's click Graph, Design, New Design, and rename as Jason. Now that we have all three of our designs all saved, let's make sure we save the file, which I will do. And now let's go on to step number 10. With the direction tool and the option key, switch to the group selection tool. Click once on the small legend. Now here's what you have to do in order to isolate out the graph. I'm going to show you the graph. And first I'm going to pick up my three designs which are in the way. So let's go shift click on all three designs. Let's hit the V key and just move them up and out of the way. I don't have to get them all out of the way, but just out of the way. Okay. Now here are your items. Now what it wants you to do is it wants you, I actually made a mistake. I'm going to have to fix this. Number 10, I have it as use direction tool. It should be direct selection tool. I can't believe I said direction tool. Okay, direct select tool, and then I'm going to go to the group version of it. Now let's change Lisa, and I want you to see if I hold the option key, how this turns into the group selection tool. Now I want to only make the ones for Lisa into red. So I click once on Lisa's block and twice on Lisa's block. Now look at how only Lisa's block is selected, or Lisa's data is selected or are selected. Now let's go up to Object, Graph, Column. Now I have a million of these selected, so please ignore mine. You should only have 3. These are from jobs from a long time ago. So let's just click on Lisa. Graphs example. Okay, that's one I probably made today. Yeah, again, you will only have 2 selected. I've been doing 3 in that box to choose from. I apologize for that, but I just have so many of these that it's storing them. All right, leave vertically scaled and rotate legend design, and I'm going to make Lisa into Lisa, and you can see just how Lisa now has gone into the beautiful red column. Now let's do the green one for Sarah. So we click away, we hold the option key and click once and twice for Sarah. Now we've only isolated Sarah. Let's go into Graph, Column, find Sarah's, and let's click on Sarah, and let's click on OK. Now let's click away from it, and let's click on Jason's 1, 2, and let's make Jason's blue. So let's go to Object, Graph, Column. Let's find Jason and click OK. And now we are ready to actually make the graph and all the pretty way it's going to be. Now I'm going to take the selection tool and click on this, and I'm going to move this to a section here. Now what I want to do is to make this graph into the graph that appears on my finish one, and there is my finish one. Okay, and you can see just how nice that looks, and I want to make the graph exactly more or less. This is where you can have your own fun, but I'm going to go ahead and maybe even make mine a little bit different, but let me try to do this very efficiently. if that's possible for Mr. Sorial. Now, what I'm going to do is turn off my graph. I'm going to close my artwork. I'm going to leave my practice graph selected. Actually, I'll turn on the graph, but I'm going to lock it. I've locked up everything here. In fact, I'll turn off the artwork that's up there. Now, with the practice graph selected, it is asking you, if I go to the right page here, it is asking you on page 5 to, it is asking you, oh, wants me to change my graph. Okay, this is cool. Okay, let's go into my graph because I want vertical lines on the graph. So now it says, let me make sure page 4 doesn't have anything on it. Nope, it's fine. Okay, number 5, right-hand click on the graph and choose type. So let's select the graph. Let's right-hand click. And actually, this is cool that I'm showing you this. Let me go in and choose just the graph selection. You have to click on the graph alone in the layer palette in order to get that to come up. Now, let's go over to here and choose type. Now, in the graph type window, it wants me to change this to value axis. It wants me to click override calculated values, and it wants me to put in 50 in the min box, and it wants me to put in 225 in the max box and 2 in the divisions field. That's cool. Now it's changed the length to full width. So instead of this, let's go to full width, and let's go to 2 in the tick marks. Then we type in dollars because we want these to be in dollars. So in the prefix of this, find your dollars above the 4, go shift 4, and you have this. Now, let's click OK, and you can see just how I've altered the graph to look exactly how I want this to look. Now that I have actually gotten values in here, everything is beautiful. Now, let me lock up the graph, and it says that you can go in number 12, it says alter the design if you wish. Now I have a headline that I've used trade winds, and I've already got that done up on the screen. I've got a headline up here that is trade winds. And I have, if you look over here in my character palette, at 32 points and 26 on the tracking. I've already done the bottom one, which was ATC trade winds at 24 points and 48 on the tracking. I don't mind what you use, but whatever you use, this is what I want you to do with it. Let me go to the final page and see. Okay. All right. I want to actually put the correct picture back there first. File place, okay, position, typo response. All right. Move the graph and then position of the airport to the right. Scale if necessary. All right. We're going to locate for the background of this. I'm sorry, I was reading. I'm going to click on the practice graph, go to File Place, go into the folder that you have for this graph, which now I have to locate on my massive machine here. And let's go into 1200 here, and let's go to guide number 6. And I'm going to use yours. And I'm going to locate trees number 3. And in trees number 3, I'm going to place that on the artboard, and I'm going to position it exactly like this, underneath the graph completely. And now let's go like this. And then what I want to do is hit the V key, move this up so that the graph is just a little bit more about there, right? A little bit more about there. And then I'm going to pick up all of this that's in there, unlock everything that I have so far, and I want to move the whole thing down. So let me click on this, except I don't want that selected. Let's go deselect this, deselect this. Now let's hit the E key and just give this a little bit lower here. Did I lock that graph? Okay, I just wanted it a little bit more on the page like this. Okay, now what I want to do is to take the Union Paper Company, and I want to make a copy of the Union Paper Company right here. Now I'm going to hit the E key, and I'm going to make the Union Paper Company be about the same width as the other things. So I hit the E key, and let me just move this out so that I just manually do this. Now inside this text, I'm going to convert this text to outline paths. You know how to do that. So let's go type, create outlines. Now what we're going to do immediately, and it's in step number 14, let us marquee the new shapes, all the shapes that I have there. And we're going to go to make them into a compound path. So I want the whole thing to go into one compound path. And now you can see how I've made them all into one blank compound path, which I'm going to use as a clipping mask. So what I want to do so we don't see everything in the way is let me turn off the graph. Let me turn off and just leave on everything that I have here, so that I can see the compound path that's right there. Now, it wants me to, it says that the fill will disappear. For you right now, I'll add a temporary black stroke just so we can see it right there, okay? Now I have a temporary black stroke, and you can do this so that we can see what's going to happen. Now it wants me to place in, clicked on the practice graphs, go to File, Place, and place in number 4. And then we're going to make this into a clipping mask. So I have pretty much put it in the section where it's just about like this right there, and I'm going to take the trees and put them one below the compound path so that you can see the union in there. Let me take the E key and make this slightly bigger like this, slightly bigger like this, move it up like that, and now you can see the words. Let me get this a little bit closer on screen so you can see the words Union Paper Company inside. It's kind of pretty as I have them there, maybe even a little bit higher, but let's see how it looks. So let's shift click both of these and hit Command 7, and now I have Union Paper Company in kind of a neat looking item. Now if you can't read it, then go inside the group, click only on the tree, hit the E key, and move this so you can actually change the position of the picture inside the words. Now let's lock that up. Let's unclick the group or collapse the group, click on it, lock it, take the recycle and response, and now it wants me to actually move the recycle and response to the bottom. So let me make the whole thing, let me make the whole graph, go back in here, click on the recycle and response, put it down here. Actually, I'm going to put it exactly the same width as this. So let's hit the E key. I actually don't want to use, I held Command Option and I dragged because I did not want to make I didn't want to hurt the original. I wanted to make a duplicate copy. So let's go like this and make this about the right width, just so it lines up. I'm going to take the eyedropper and I'm going to grab a prettier blue inside of this right about, it's too bright. Let's go to this blue. Somewhere in there, too bright, a little bit darker. Okay, that's good. Now that's pretty. Now let's move this down to the bottom. And then it wants me to, I actually put in a rectangle underneath. If I show you the finished one, I actually put a rectangle underneath and I just clipped number 4 again. So I brought in another number 4 and I clipped a rectangle in it. So let's go like this. And let's go like this and bring in number 4. So let's click, place in another copy of number 4, and then make it a little bit wider. And the finished file is almost finished, as I said. Let's make a rectangle to be about this large. Let's go just like this to make a rectangle about this big. Make sure it's the right size as the overall picture. So I hit the E key. Let me just hold the V key, bring it up here and make sure it's about the right size. You betcha. Now, let's use it as a clipping mask. So let's put the picture right over here. Make sure the picture is underneath that. So we have to go over here. If you look up on top, I'm going to take both of those items and put them all the way to the bottom here. Now I'm going to take the rectangle is on top. If you can see, the rectangle is right there. The picture is both selected. Hit Command 7, and now I will have another group that I have to click on just the radial button for the picture, hit the E key and move it around until I'm happy, and there I am happy, and there is your finished example. Now, interesting thing, all you have to do if you want to change the way the graph looks, because what I've done is I can take the graph and make it look different. I'm going to collapse everything and see if I can do this on screen without looking like an idiot. I'm going to take the first copy of the graph. I'm going to delete it, turn off the visibility, click on the circle for it, just for the graph. I'm sorry, all I wanted was the graph. Talk on it. Let me throw that away. I want to take just the graph that's inside. Let me show the graph. Okay, just the graph. Duplicate just the graph. Turn off the first graph. Click on the second graph. So now I have the whole second graph selected. Hit the V key, put your cursor over here, go to Type, and instead of this going this way, let's try to have this go that way. So I can rotate the axes, I can do whatever I want to do. I can have it be a stacked column, I can have it be a stacked bar. What was this one? That's a column. Let's go columns, category axis, value axis. Let's go to see what it looks like this. And you can see that I have now taken and done, let me take the E key, change this to a little bit like this, click away from it, and you can see how I have now, and I can position this if I just go a little bit shorter or a little bit longer. Let me show you what I did on the first one. I have the one graph looking like this, and then I had the one graph after I spent a little bit of time looking exactly like that. So I positioned it exactly where I wanted. Okay, let me go back to this graph and show you what I've done. It's the same thing, I just need to play with it. Okay, and in order to play with it, you can take the scale tool and you could scale this thing just a little bit down like that. Take the V key and just slide it in exactly where you want so it looks real pretty. I don't care if you turn it in like this or like this. Again, to change it, duplicate it, select it, V key or any tool that is a selection tool, go to Type and change it from one graph to another graph and have some fun with it, okay? But that's a real pretty way. This is the first movie. The second movie will now get into this one. So let me go to this one here. The second one we will go do the dollars and pounds graph, and there is the dollars and pounds graph right there. So that one won't take very long because I'm immediately going to get in and just show you the data windows and how to set up, and really to how to fix this one is how to change this one when it goes into dollars, how to get and isolate out this side so you can change the right hand side versus changing the whole thing. Thank you. I'll see you on the next movie.